Hey everyone, my name is Casey Rain, and welcome back to our series where we bring you all the deep Prince facts. Hope you've enjoyed our previous videos. Today we're looking into the most bootlegged album of all time. The album that Prince cancelled and ordered destroyed as it was literally on its way to record stores. The album so infamous and legendary that an original copy that survived became the most expensive item ever sold on the Discogs website. We are, of course, talking about the Black Album, originally titled The Funk Bible, and much like the previously planned Camille album, was intended for release without Prince's name, or anything else, on the artwork, just a plain black cover. Now, although the Black Album was originally scheduled for release in late 1987 and then cancelled, it did eventually get released in 1994. But we've put it here in the discography to honour the original intended release. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss our uploads. Let's do this. Now, the first thing to know about the Black Album is that if you believe Prince's engineer Susan Rogers, it might be the cancellation of the album that actually led to its status more than the quality of the album itself. According to Susan, the album didn't come about in good terms. Susan believes that the album was a fuck you record to the press, who had lambasted Prince for not being as funky as he used to be, and that he was starting to seem old-fashioned in the wake of the explosion of hip-hop and the huge sales of acts like Public Enemy, LL Cool J, and NWA. Susan further claimed that he originally never intended to release these songs, and commented that it was the kind of music he could make in his sleep, describing it as being made up of mindless party songs. Fact number 2. You might be familiar with the super aggressive track Bob George on this album, but where did the name come from? Well, it was a portmanteau of two names that Prince was not happy with. The Bob comes from his manager Bob Cavallo, although it's not exactly clear why Prince wasn't happy with Bob at this time. And the George comes from noted music critic Nelson George. This one we do know a little more about. Prince was pissed off at Nelson George because he felt Nelson had been overly critical of his recent releases, including Sign of the Times. And the fact that that album hadn't hit the sales expectations that Prince was looking for meant that Prince really needed the critics on his side at this point in time. Although we aren't sure that this song, had it been released, would have helped him get back on Nelson George's good side, although it is an incredible track. Fact number 3. Multiple associates have commented that Prince seemed incredibly angry, even depressed at this time of his life, and that this is what influenced him to create the Black Album. According to Karen Krattinger, Prince's PA at the time, her take was that a lot of this anger came from what had happened the previous year with the breakup of the Revolution, Prince losing Wendy, Lisa, and Susanna from his life. It certainly seems that Prince was taking this out on the people around him, and this is a contributing factor to why longtime engineer Susan Rogers left the Prince camp shortly before the planned release of the Black Album. Fact number 4. The decision to cancel the Black Album came after an incident known as Blue Tuesday. If you watch our Uncovering Prince interview with Ingrid Chavez, you'll remember that she talked about the night she met Prince. That night is one and the same, and Prince took Ingrid back to Paisley Park. Allegedly, Prince had taken some ecstasy that evening, supposedly given to him by Cat Glover, who may herself have obtained it from Red Hot Chili Peppers singer Anthony Kiedis. Prince stated that he had visions of God that night, and that he came to the realization that if he died, he didn't want the Black Album to be the last thing he had released. Later on in the video for Alphabet Street from the Lovesexy album, which replaced the Black Album, Prince snuck a hidden message into the video spelling out the sentence, "Don't buy the Black Album, I'm sorry." Fact number 5. Despite the fact that the album hadn't officially been released, the mystery and mystique around its cancellation certainly helped its standing in the press. Rolling Stone magazine named it as one of their best albums of the year. And the fact that Lovesexy came out just 6 months after the original scheduled release of the Black Album made many people realize the extent of Prince's prolific nature. Fact number 6. By December 11th, 1987, Prince made a decision to put the Black Album to bed and move in the opposite direction. Since he had begun to view that album as a negative force, it's only right that one of the first songs he recorded for what would become Lovesexy was the song Positivity. Fact number 7. Although the Black Album was eventually released in 1994, 7 years after it was recorded, Warner Brothers had made multiple attempts to get it released in the years prior to that. They came closest in 1991, when Warner's wanted to release it as part of a 2-CD set, with the other CD being a greatest hits set to make up for the disappointing sales of Graffiti Bridge. Of course, Prince had his own ideas on how to make a commercial comeback, and did exactly that in 1991 with the Diamonds and Pearls album. Still, the legend of the Black Album continued, and for an album that received virtually no marketing promotion when it was eventually released, in 1994 it sold a very respectable 500,000 copies. And despite Prince's publicist Karen Lee stating that he was still very much spiritually against the content of the album, he did receive $1 million from Warner's for granting permission to release it. The final fact. Perhaps due to his feelings on the album, most of the songs were very rarely performed live, and the ones that were happened mostly on the Lovesexy tour, such as Bob George. However, in an interesting occurrence, and perhaps evidence that Prince was starting to reconcile with his past, less than 3 months before he died, on the 23rd of January 2016, at a party at Paisley Park, Prince did play Le Grind in his DJ and vocal sampler set. This marks the only time that track was performed in any live context. And that's it for another episode of The Facts You Didn't Know. What's your favorite track from the Black Album? And did you have a bootleg copy of the album before it was officially released? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and we'll be back soon for more Purple Facts. Thanks for watching. Peace and be wild.
Hi, I'm Elisa Fiorillo, and you're watching The Violet Reality on YouTube. All things Prince!